When you think of the greatest manga of all time, you think of great characters, exceptional dialogue, and convoluted machinations by an antagonist hoping to foil the protagonist. But this manga doesn't have any of that. In fact, there's very little dialogue to speak of. This is a story about a 1997 manga called Blam, written and illustrated by Tsutomu Nihei. And despite the minimalistic approach in terms of dialogue, the story has so much to say. Nihei was a student of architecture back in college, and the man knows how to really draw structures very well. I mean, Blam is just filled with a multitude of buildings, structures, megastructures, corridors, labyrinths, and big frickin' explosions. But because the setting is drawn in such an exquisite manner, it really does the storytelling for you. And in this regard, the reader really needs to take their time when they're reading the manga. Page by page, you need to look at the little details, understand what's going on in the story, and it sort of makes you feel like you're there as well. It's a very atmospheric, murky vibe. And at times, it almost feels like you're trapped in the manga, trapped by the enormity of the structures themselves. It almost feels as though the walls are closing in on you. And frankly, it's absolutely terrifying. But enough explanation. Why don't we just get into the story itself and experience the cyberpunk, dark, cryptic, enigmatic, and explosive world of Blam. A young man and a child traverse a precarious catwalk. The child hides when a homely man approaches. The young man blasts the individual, who appeared to transform into a mechanized creature. After leaving, two mechanized creatures approach the homely man's body. The dying man says that the little one has a pure structure. After gaining the intel, they discard his memory and his body. The young boy's leg is then shot with a harpoon and is dragged away from Killy, i.e., the young man with the gun. After battling with the two creatures, Killy is forced to flee without the child. The two creatures carry the child away in a cryptic cocoon. Killy fires upon the two in a vehicle of sorts. He destroys the taller one and sneaks up on the other one to slice through its head. The creature fights back, but with Killy's gravitational beam emitter, otherwise known as GBE, he eviscerates its head. Unfortunately, the boy inside the cocoon is already dead. Bugs above Killy collapse a tower, resulting in a downpour of grub-like creatures. An elevator shaft ascends to the area, housing a girl and a mechanically altered dog. The girl hooks the boy up to a terminal, performing assessments and such. She then makes a call saying there's small irregularities in chromosomes 10 and 11. The system is found in an inhabited area about 3,000 levels above, but we don't know if they are human. Killy pulls out a mysterious book and questions what Earth is. The girl takes the book and leaves the area when it gets dark. Yon and Asako, members of the Technomads, look for Shizuzo. Watchers then appear, obliterating Shizuzo. The two race to see what happened, only to find a dead Watcher and an unconscious Killy. The two carry Killy to their shelter. After recovering, Killy asks if anyone has terminal DNA or can access the net, but it doesn't seem like anyone knows what he's talking about. Watchers infiltrate the shelter, killing numerous Technomads. Killy then impales a Watcher with a pole. Asako stops the other one with her machine. Killy asks where the Watchers come from, and Yon henceforth takes Killy to their hive. After blowing the hive to smithereens, Killy ventures off once again, all by himself. Killy then wanders the area, walking through what feels like an MC Escher piece of work. He then comes across an eye insignia, opening it up with force. He walks past various machines, eventually finding some food. He then sees a child inside one of the machines. A mechanical creature descends down. Killy punches it before escaping. While hanging from a ledge, the creature fires missiles at Killy, forcing him to fire back, destroying the machine and the babies inside the machines as well. Killy comes across a small child, asking if there's any people and food in the area. After giving Killy some food, the boy is shot in the head, splattering his blood across the area. The headless boy stands up, attempting to escape, but a man with a machine gun finishes him off. The three renegades subdue Killy, finding out that he came from 5,000 floors below this location. I'm looking for DNA with unchanged molecules. The renegades beat Killy down, advising him to vacate the area. The boy returns, decapitating a renegade and killing the other two with ease. After a creepy smile, he walks up some stairs. Killy arrives in an area where a battle just took place. An injured woman determines that Killy is searching for cell samples. She then shows Killy a recording of the previous battle with the exterminators. Unfortunately, neither one of them know who the authorities are, but the girl says they're reusing old technology. Killy straps the legless woman on his back and comes across two exterminators. They run away, but are forced to engage. After Killy kills the two exterminators, he continues his trek. Later on, he finds out the girl succumbed to her battle injuries. Killy aims to halt the exterminators, but an explosion impedes his path. He is confronted by a silicon-based creature who is attacked by an exterminator. The creature kills the exterminators with a grenade. "I know you. You killed one of our people," says a second creature. The first creature claims the authorities' thought process is beyond comprehension. Killy says he killed their babies, so the girl creature becomes hostile. Killy gains the upper hand, but is shot by the first creature. He then runs away and falls down a long vent. He tries to regain solid ground, as a man, Kumoi, serves as his guide. Kumoi takes Killy to Yaki, claiming he's a curer. Killy begins to eat as a builder bursts in. Killy then uses a device to instruct the builder to leave. He then stops a larger builder that was approaching the area. Kumoi is overjoyed, but is sent flying by the creature from before. The two go back and forth, with Killy winning the battle. Killy attempts to comfort the injured Kumoi, but he expires shortly after. Killy returns the man to his wife and leaves the area. Killy makes his way across a long bridge, eventually seeing a girl who is attacked by a snake-like monster. Killy shoots the monster and finds out the girl has 3 eyes. A man steals the girl as a group of mysterious beings emerge. Killy attempts to communicate with the dry bodies, but they immediately vacate the area. Killy eventually encounters several workers for the Bioelectric Corporation. He then finds out there's a genetic engineer in the capital and hitches a ride on the delivery ship. Killy talks with Yoshi, finding out the perfect genes refer to the primitive man who can communicate with the governors. A worm-like creature falls onto their ship, forcing Killy to blast it in half. The dry men descend on the position. The dry men infiltrate the ship as Killy eventually takes them all down. "Hold on for dear life, kid." The ship crash lands at the corporation's dock. Killy finds out the dry bodies were only attempting to rescue their family. Enraged by this, Killy goes on a killing rampage by obliterating everything in sight with his GBE. Strange levitating creatures halt the rampage, forcing Killy to flee the city. Killy sees what happened to laborers who oppress the corporation. Killy is eventually approached by laborers who want his GBE. "Just leave the gun behind." Killy flees from the men, finding himself in a strange, cylindrical room. A guardian confronts Killy, but Killy kicks him down into the pit. The head of security then sends Killy downward, where the deceased laborers rot. The guardian confronts Killy, but a rotting body says that she reprogrammed him to not see Killy. Cibo, the rotting body, strikes a deal with Killy, agreeing to help him access the corporation's genetic records, since she used to be a top scientist for the corporation. Cibo is hooked up to the corporation system as Killy fights off the numerous guardians. Cibo shows Killy the map, and he heads towards the corporation's president. Killy engages the corporation, losing his left arm in the process. Cibo arrives in a brand new body, disabling the corporation's guards in the process. "It's been a while, Mr. President." Thousands of guardians invade the area, forcing Killy to destroy the president. Cibo says there's no network genes on this level, but with his GBE, they can penetrate the next area, and she'll accompany him on his mission. In a flashback, Cibo and a clone of the president conduct an experiment to connect to the net sphere. The experiment begins, and the subject finds herself in a simulation of a grassy plain. A safeguard officer destroys the subject's virtual body, stimulating an infection in her real body. The clone of the president is killed, and the subject's mask converts to safeguards. They eventually explode the facility. "After that, I was recreated from backup data," says Cibo to Killy in the current timeline. Killy's left arm has been fully healed as the two rest up. Two cryptic beings wake them up, and Killy fires away, destroying one. The other one reconfigures its body, saying the presence of a chaotic infection is preventing direct communication. Contact with humans who do not carry the network gene will draw the safeguards. In addition, the city continues to expand at random, developing insecure links between the levels, thus spreading the chaos. To stop the growth, they need to discover the network genes, which is Killy's prerogative. Safeguards use the tower to materialize as Killy and Cibo climb to the top. More enemies emerge, but Killy blasts a hole through the megastructure. The structure beneath their feet collapses. As the two hang on from a line, the two reach the next level, which looks like a city. The two move in the direction of organic beings, only to find the remains of a genetic mutation. Another authority proxy says they failed to protect the settlement, and that safeguards are nearby. An explosion injures Cibo, and an advanced safeguard with a gravitational beam materializes. The being avoids Killy's shot, knocks him down, and infects him with nanobots. They kick him off the ledge, but thanks to Cibo, Killy is saved. A governor explains there's a cylinder building, which acts autonomously from the city. Humans are currently living inside the net, and there may be someone who carries the net terminal gene. Killy and Cibo investigate a human smell, reaching a sickly man. After the man dies, a girl named Sanakan agrees to take the two to a populated area. Exhausted from the nanobot infection, Killy passes out. Safeguards emerge, and Killy uses the last of his strength to shoot his GBE. Reinforcements come, and Sutezu and Pops, two electro fishers, save the three with their rail rifles. The two take them to their settlement via riding in a rail car. Cibo identifies the core structure as being a different material that was made by Toha Heavy Industries. The two electro fishers are surprised by her ability to read. Planters used to live inside Toha Industries, but no one knows what they did. At the village, Zuru, a healer, tends to Killy. Sutezu and Pops take Cibo to the entrance of Toha Industries, but they are unsure how to open it. Cibo reads the instructions and opens the hatch. Due to his interaction with the nanobots, Killy possesses new abilities that allows him to scan his surroundings. Unfortunately, Zuru does not carry the net terminal gene. Cibo leads the three through the interior of Toha Industries, reaching an area that resembles the Earth with clouds, land, and water. The four return to the village, saying they'll explore more with Killy at a later time. Killy's analysis determines that Sanakan is a safeguard. Sanakan then transforms. "We safeguards will eliminate you squatters without the net terminal gene." Killy and Sanakan stare each other down. The villagers transform into exterminators, thanks to Sanakan's barbs. Killy tackles Sanakan, but the girl kicks him off. The two battle back and forth, with Sanakan taking the advantage. She fires several beams through the village, causing untold devastation. The electro-fishers bombard Sanakan with sustained fire, eventually finishing her off. Unfortunately, her body morphs into a butterfly. "Killy, your functions have been restored?" questions Sanakan as she flies off. A builder appears as they aid the wounded. After communicating with the builder, Killy informs them it's only here to put out the fires and make repairs. The electro-fishers seek refuge inside Toha Industries, but the entrance has collapsed. Cibo neurally connects with Killy, ascertaining the builder's language, which will allow her to retrieve a builder that can clear the wreckage in front of Toha Industries. After Cibo leaves on a rail car, a massive creature emerges. Killy fires his GBE, but the creature immediately heals itself. The creature prepares to fire a gravitational beam, but Cibo returns with a colossal builder to stop the safeguard. The builder then clears the blockage to Toha Industries. The massive safeguard attacks the group as Sanakan materializes behind Killy. Killy fires his GBE, but Sanakan absorbs it. Sanakan informs Killy that he's a safeguard and that the nanobot infection was meant to repair him. "We shall cancel you here." Due to the stress of the neural connections with Killy and the builder, Cibo and the builder collapse. Killy and Sanakan begin their fight, as Cibo's consciousness is in a virtual reality. An authority proxy advises her to upload into the safeguard's vehicle to overload it. Cibo then interfaces with the vehicle, while Killy continues his battle in base reality. Sanakan looks for the finishing blow as Cibo precipitates a seizure in the safeguard. Killy blasts her, and the massive safeguard burns up. Cibo asks the authority if Killy is really a safeguard, as she's grabbed by a cryptic group of safeguards. The authority says Killy is not a safeguard, but an agent of a previous system. Cibo's physical body spurts blood as her virtual body is cut in half. Cibo's body evaporates, allowing her to release a limiter on Killy's GBE. The colossal safeguard resumes its attack as Killy obliterates the barrage of exterminators. Killy then hooks himself up to the exterminator corpses, siphoning off energy for his gun, which allows a massive energy boost, and with this, he's able to blow off the head of the massive safeguard. However, Killy's arm is mangled from the recoil. Once he returns to the hatch of Toa Industries, he finds no electro fissures. Killy looks to shoot Sanakan, but it appears Cibo's consciousness has commandeered the body for herself. Killy and Cibo enter Toa Industries, with a malformed exterminator appearing. The door closes in on them, forcing them to evade it. It appears the safeguards are prohibited from entering Toa. Killy and Cibo look for another entrance, as Cibo's body begins to deteriorate. Sanakan! Killy! Killy opens the door as he re-engages with Sanakan. After throwing Sanakan, the body morphs into a smaller version of Cibo. Sanakan's consciousness was subdued when Cibo entered Toa Industries, and there's a possibility they might find the net terminal gene in here. The two wander around, finding electro-fisherman equipment. Cibo uses an electronic probe to connect to the Toa controlling system. Unfortunately, she was counter-probed, forcing her to cut off her connection. Toha's control system is an AI, and it was attempting to kill her. Despite this, Cibo did ascertain a map in her brief connection. With their route blocked, a safeguard enters the vicinity. Killy attempts to shoot, but the weapons of the safeguards are nullified inside of Toha. It turns out these are silicon-based life forms, and they waste no time in attacking Killy. Cibo is impaled by the female creature, but she tosses her aside when two life forms, Mensab and Sue, materialize in a bright light. They tell Killy and Cibo their interference is forbidden, causing them to disappear. Ivy demands Mensab to hand over the colonist. Mensab orders Sue to attack. Fairy-like creatures carry Killy and Cibo's bodies to a safe area. Sue cuts Maeve in half, and Ivy is missing an arm. Mensab and Sue then evaporate from the area. The fairies say that Toha is divided into 13 caves. Mensab controls Cave 8 and is protecting humans. However, he has cut himself off from the other caves. Cibo hypothesizes they might find the net terminal gene in one of the caves. Cibo receives nutrients from a machine that can produce anything. Mensab, however, is coming, so they enter an elevator to head to floor 7. Mensab remotely manipulates the elevator, sending them to a cave with silicon life. The fairy-like beings begin dying as the elevator crumbles. Cibo's body morphs into a butterfly, returning them to the elevator shaft. After landing, Killy clobbers a silicon-based creature. Cibo interfaces with the creature, interrogating it for information. It turns out that silicon life is a continuation of an ancient power beyond the net, and they seek to destroy the net terminal gene. They did not beget the chaos, but maintaining it is essential for their life. Hence, they must eliminate the net terminal gene to maintain the city's chaotic behavior. Silicon creatures hold Mensab down, preventing teleportation. Killy arrives to defeat a silicon creature. The teleportation is initiated with Killy being caught in the field and transported to a cryptic area. A gigantic silicon creature bursts through the wall. A mysterious being destroys the monster. Turns out she's a version of Cibo that doesn't recognize Killy. And Killy questions the girl on how many Cibos there were at the Cyber Life Society. Cibo says just her and wonders how Killy met another Cibo. Space and time are constantly distorting, suggesting that this Cibo is from a different timeline. The two enter a town, finding out they're in Cave 4. A holographic Cibo appears. En route, the two are chased by gigantic silicon creatures and are attacked by a third, human-sized version. The real Cibo rescues the two with the help of Sanakan's wings. Cibo fixes Killy's GBE, allowing him to eviscerate the silicon being. Unfortunately, it regenerates itself and flees the area. The three look for an exit as space-time begins to collapse. Killy punctures a hole through the reactor, but the silicon being from before returns. Killy rips off its head as the three head for the exit. The creature impales the alternate Cibo as Killy is forced to let go of her. Back in time, the fight of Sue versus Ivy and Maeve is shown in brilliant detail. We see how Ivy lost his arm and how Maeve was cut in half at the waist. Killy and Cibo intervene. Killy destroys Ivy's folding blade, forcing him to flee with Maeve. Sue's injuries take their toll as Mensab teleports them away. Sue's body is repaired, but his mind continues to deteriorate. Killy and Cibo arrive, finding out that humans were transported to Cave 13 due to recent attacks. Mensab blames Central for interfering with Sue's restoration as the two teleport. Killy and Cibo head for Cave 13 as the Electro-Fishers kill a silicon creature. The Fishers return to their new camp, saying they slayed something resembling the safeguards. Mensab and Sue convene with Central, the AI overseeing Toha. Mensab wants to restore Sue's personality, but Central declines, saying Toha will depart for a new land. Unhappy with this development, Mensab orders Sue to attack. A governor arrives, indicating that he can now enter Toha since their agreement is now null and void with Central AI. Safeguards have entered Toha to connect with the Central AI. Cibo and Killy must connect first if they want to find the net terminal gene. Killy is knocked out of Cibo's hands as the girl is sent down herself. Cibo writhes in pain, feeling the presence of Sanakan. Cibo finds the dead alternate Cibo. She transfers her memory to her counterpart as Sanakan resumes control of her body. Killy arrives next to Mensab at Central Toha. The silicon creatures use the advanced being from Cave 4 to fuse with Maeve's torso. Killy implores Central to renew their agreement with the net sphere. Sanakan and Cibo engage in battle. While distracted, Sanakan is shot in the head by the Electro-Fishers. The two jettison upwards as Maeve intervenes in the affair. Maeve sends them downward and begins searching for Mensab. The Electro-Fishers help Cibo up, as the girl determines that Sanakan is here to destroy the Central AI. Sanakan reaches Killy's location at Central. Killy obliterates the girl, but Sanakan blew up Central AI in the process. Sue regains her memories as Maeve emerges from the Hellfires. Ivy walks in on the affair, fighting Sue as Killy duels Maeve. The dying Central AI informs Mensab that Toha teleportation is proceeding automatically. Mensab and the silicon creatures determine that they'll be destroyed when the teleportation happens. Mensab attempts to link with Central to save the residents from Cave 8, but Maeve destroys everything. Sue splits Ivy's head in half. Mensab hangs from Maeve's extremity, but Killy splatters Maeve to pieces, saving Mensab. Mensab announces that Toha will teleport, and if it doesn't arrive in an empty space, it will be destroyed. Toha begins teleporting, exploding cave by cave. The Electro-Fishers enter an escape pod, but Cibo, who's operating the pod, does not go aboard, choosing to stay behind. As Toha is crumbling in every direction, Cibo passes out from exhaustion. Mensab's fairy-like creatures catch her body, flying it to safety. Mensab tells Killy that the residents of Cave 8 had their minds and bodies separated, the bodies being destroyed after the teleportation. However, Mensab will aid Killy by sending him their digitized information. Mensab and Sue enter a rift in time as Killy is transported out of Toha Industries. Mensab also transported the Universal Constructor out of Toha, and out of the Constructor comes Cibo, fully healed. I've got Sue's genetic information. Killy and Cibo proceed to wander about, coming across two naked girls. Frightened, the girls flee. Killy and Cibo chase them down, thinking they might have the net terminal gene. They arrive at a colony of naked women, who are all clones of a single woman. Killy determines the net terminal gene is not here, and leaves. Cibo finds the original woman, hooked up to a machine that is forcibly making her conceive new clones of herself. Killy puts the woman out of her misery as the two depart. Cibo and Killy reach a megastructure. The two reach a door that is closed. An elevator descends down with a bizarre net sphere entity who was created by builders. The two ride with the entity, asking about the net terminal gene. That being said, he cannot find it, but he does identify a distress signal that they wish to investigate. After 800 hours, they arrive at their destination, which is about 1 month. 256 years in the past, Dhomochevsky, unable to heal his wounds, still has to get up and battle Schiff. Schiff races onto the scene, destroying exterminators, evading Dhomochevsky's gunfire, and piercing through the man's eye with his blade. The exterminators distract Schiff and take Dhomochevsky away. P-Cell observes Killy and Cibo, relaying this information through Schiff to Devine Lulin Vega. Insects attack the two, paralyzing half of Cibo's body. Killy carries Cibo as a giant one bursts in. The insect morphs into a silicon creature, Blonde. Killy obliterates him with his GBE. He then carries Cibo to an area where he confronts Dhomochevsky. Aiko, Dhomochevsky's companion safeguard, delays Killy's GBE, allowing Dhomochevsky to hit Killy with his seeking bolts. P-Cell reports the events to Schiff, who says they should be dealt with swiftly. Killy is back in the elevator, being returned to his original location from 1 month ago. Killy resists, so the elevator attendant transforms into an exterminator-like being. Killy eliminates the creature by throwing him out of the elevator. Dhomochevsky removes the insect from Cibo. Upon waking, she heads towards Dhomochevsky. Dhomochevsky tells Aiko they'll take down Lin Vega with Killy's GBE. Dhomochevsky asks Cibo about the DNA sample they received from Mensab, and he refuses to return it when Cibo instructs him to do so. Dhomochevsky lies about Killy's whereabouts, but Cibo picks up on his and Aiko's radio speech, revealing the truth. Cibo interrogates Aiko further, and subsequently shocks Dhomochevsky into submission. She then escapes with the DNA capsule and Killy's GBE. Dhomochevsky manages to stand up and chases Cibo down. Cornered, Cibo jumps down. Dhomochevsky follows, eventually capturing the girl. Dhomochevsky says he'll allow her to keep the gun and the sample, but to leave this area immediately. If Lin Vega attains human DNA, she'll be able to connect to the net sphere. Lin Vega downloads exterminators to attack the three. Dhomochevsky tells the girls to leave so he can fight the creatures. Cibo returns nevertheless, helping him eliminate the exterminators. Killy climbs up the megastructure. He makes his way past a bug infestation, reaching a large cave. Killy traverses the maze-like corridors, eventually contacting the governing agency. He receives coordinates that take him to a vault. After passing through the door, he enters an armory. Domo reflects on his first meeting with Aiko when she had a human-like form. They were created specifically to stop the silicon-based creatures. In the current timeline, Domo prepares for Cibo's departure. Aiko explains that this level is an unofficial level, and certain Netsphere hardware has not been embedded. Therefore, if Lin Vega acquired Cibo's DNA sample from Sue, she could access the Netsphere and gather untold amounts of information. They arrive at the elevator, finding out it's disconnected. P-Cell approaches, precipitating a battle. Domo claims that she's the toughest silicon creature of the lot. A rebuilt Blonde closes in on the location, grabbing Cibo's arm. Dhomochevsky injures the creature, but P-Cell fires back. Dhomochevsky and the crew escape down an elevator shaft. Just before the hatch crushes Blonde. P-Cell retrieves the DNA sample. She then constructs exterminator-like beings to deliver the sample to Lin Vega. Dhomochevsky and the group retreat for the time being. Killy is ambushed by Schiff. The two go back and forth, but Schiff pierces Killy through the chest with his blade. Despite this, Killy gains the upper hand, punching Schiff multiple times and executing him with his gun. P-Cell lifts up the fallen hatch, revealing the hole to the elevator shaft. Cibo heals Dhomochevsky's injured face. A wall explodes from gunfire, revealing P-Cell and Killy in the midst of a battle. Killy closes the distance, shooting off one of her hands. He gets in trouble though, but Dhomochevsky intervenes on his behalf, allowing them to blow up her head. However, she escapes as disassembled matter and reconstructs her body at a different location. The DNA sample is sent to Lin Vega's facility. They then start the process of creating a provisional connection with the Netsphere. While the Killy party and the Dhomochevsky party don't completely trust each other, They agree to work together in a temporary truce to retrieve the DNA sample. Dhomochevsky takes them to a person's residence that was transported here from a lower level to show them an old part. Vega connects with the netsphere, arriving in Sue's body since she used his DNA sample for the connection. Despite warnings, Vega enters the waters of the netsphere, provoking the governing agency with their lackadaisical response. On their way to Vega's base, the crew is confronted by defensive measures. Dhomo and Killy are consumed by a monster as Cibo and Aiko are chased down. The two gunmen are expelled from the monster and greeted by exterminators and bug-like creatures. They fight their way through the hordes of creatures until Killy destroys the tower that was creating them in the first place. Cibo and Aiko enter a control center, finding out Vega is 92% complete with her provisional connection. Aiko enters a virtual reality. Cibo does the same to open up the gate to Vega's physical body. Killy and Dhomo look to assassinate Vega, but P-Cell intervenes with her host of minions. Dhomochevsky blows off P-Cell's head while receiving severe damage himself. However, P-Cell reconstructs her body. The two collapse from their battle wounds. Although Vega appears to be moving quickly within the netsphere, the governor reveals that her connection has been stalled in real time. With little strength, Dhomochevsky manages to fire his weapon at Devine, sending a shockwave through her body. Before dying, Vega manages to steal advanced data from the highest level of safeguard units. Vega begins to connect with the data as her physical body begins to disintegrate. Aiko enters Dhomochevsky's body, playing a message that Cibo transcribed the genetic information onto herself. A level 9 safeguard is illegally forming in Cibo's body. Dhomochevsky takes Killy's gun and fires at the fetus-like structure. Unfortunately, the fetus transforms into a mechanized creature that looks like Cibo and decapitates Dhomochevsky. The angelic Cibo repairs Killy's injured arm, but P-Cell attempts to shoot Cibo down. After Killy destroys P-Cell, a surrealistic dreamlike sequence occurs with images of Dhomochevsky, Aiko, and Cibo. Everything starts burning in flames as Killy is surrounded by hellfires. Cibo flies away, eventually disintegrating into a weakened form. A being resembling Sanakan reaches the hole that Cibo created in the megastructure to travel to higher levels. The being communicates with an unknown entity, aiming to chase down Cibo with killer's intent. Killy runs through past memories as his body undergoes an extensive repair process. It takes over 14 years for him to repair himself completely. He finds his GBE and fires off several shots. The recoil destroys his right arm, but it recovers sometime later. He then reaches an energy facility, siphoning off the energy for his own purposes. Killy walks through a maze-like city, eventually connecting to a builder who saw Cibo. In a memory, the builder looked to help Cibo, but she regained her consciousness on her own. That being said, something seemed off about her. While the builder and her walked around the facility, Cibo passes out from an electrical discharge from her uterus. Sanakan approaches the builder and determines that it's lying about Cibo's whereabouts. Sanakan shows the builder a badge of some sort that makes him change his mind. As they walk together, Sanakan deviates from the builder, confronting a silicon creature. Sanakan knocks him down, but he fights back. After the threat is eliminated, we see another silicon creature stalking Cibo. Absent-mindedly, Cibo approaches the creature. It fires at her, but Sanakan moves her out of the way. Sanakan announces she's from the governing agency. The creature attacks nevertheless, forcing her to flee with Cibo. The creature relentlessly attacks the two, but Sanakan evades danger with her quick moves. Once they reach safety, Sanakan attempts to interface with Cibo. The memories are scattered, but she still remembers her name. Sanakan says her orb is very important, but the builder warns her not to listen to the governing agency. A silicon creature uses a sniper rifle to blast Sanakan in the head. The creature blows apart the builder. It grabs Cibo, but the builder squeezes down on its tentacle-like extremity. Sanakan recovers, blasting the creature with her GBE. Upon seeing this, Cibo is reminded of Killy, as Sanakan destroys the other silicon creature. Cibo leaves the video image with the builder, and we resume the current timeline with Killy finished watching the video footage. Killy battles a silicon creature inside of a durable exoskeleton. He eventually destroys it and finishes her off. Killy is then drawn by a voice that leads him to a decaying body. Killy grabs the device that was making the noise, taking it with him. Killy then follows a cryptic robot with the help of the voice that he's carrying with the device. Killy reaches the robot and encounters a society of robots. I'm looking for the net terminal genes. Are there any humans around here? The robots take him to a human corpse that is connected to the area's control systems. Killy leaves the area, with Mari speculating that this dying man built the builders in the area. Killy finds an exit, ascending a large spiral staircase. Mari, the voice coming from the device that Killy's holding, attempts to steal Killy's body, but it doesn't work. Killy finally reaches the exit, seeing only vast amounts of darkness. A silicon creature claims that Killy is the first living being he's ever seen. The being conjectures that raw materials were stored here for a city. The core access tower most likely stabilized the contents of this place, but a watchman safeguard now oversees it. Killy destroys the silicon creature, much to the surprise of Mari, and eventually heads to the tower. On his way to the tower, Killy is ambushed by hordes of safeguards. After taking care of them, he climbs up the tower, reaching a ledge to stand on. A female safeguard emits a noise that temporarily stuns Killy. She looks for the kill, but Killy snaps out of it and blows her to pieces. Killy reaches a platform that elevates him to a higher region of the tower. Killy then faces a door, pulling out his GBE. An explosion knocks Killy down. A safeguard comes racing out, bites down on Killy, and tosses him like a rag doll. The safeguard watchman undergoes a transformation. He then shoots Killy with an energy blast. Killy returns the favor, eliminating the safeguard in the process. Afterwards, it's discovered that Killy lost his right eye in the previous battle. We find Sanakan split in half at the torso. Silicon Knights then smash Sanakan to bits. They then grab Cibo from the head. Sanakan's virtual body arrives in the net sphere. She demands to go back into base reality, but an authority administrator says that plans have changed. That being said, Sanakan is allowed to download into base reality, under the condition that if she dies, she won't be able to return to the net sphere. Sanakan downloads into the city with an upgraded safeguard body. Mori communicates a message to Killy that the level 9 safeguard, i.e. Cibo, can be used to save the city. He's given coordinates, and he is told that, quote-unquote, they believe he'll cooperate with them, suggesting that Mori's communicator was hijacked momentarily. Cibo's body is dismantled by the silicon creatures, who are seeking to control the core and the thing growing inside. Sanakan then disrupts a gathering of silicon creatures by getting her hands dirty. The Silicon Knights put up resistance, but Sanakan incinerates them with ease. Sanakan infects a silicon creature, turning it into her henchman. The Sanakan-controlled creature destroys the others, but a silicon enforcer decapitates the rogue creature. Sanakan arrives in the inner sanctum of the silicon hideout, seeing Cibo's dismembered state. After eliminating the commanding creature, Sanakan grabs Cibo's body, reattaches it, and blows up the silicon hideout while leaving. Upon reaching safety, Sanakan says, "Cibo, our child is safe." An advanced safeguard approaches the two, seeking to eliminate them. It disables Sanakan's weapon and traps her against a wall. It then grabs Cibo's body, looking to bite down on the orb. The creature mysteriously blows up though, due to a shot from Killy's GBE. The exterminator recovers quickly, severing Killy's right arm. Killy gets ready to shoot the exterminator with his left hand, but the exterminator traps him in a cube-like sphere. Sanakan shoots her left hand at the exterminator, allowing Killy to break free and shoot the exterminator from point-blank range. Amidst all the wreckage, Sanakan says, "Killy, protect the sphere. There is an uncontaminated place." Killy wonders what she means by this, as he goes to grab the sphere. Unfortunately, with sphere in hand, both Sanakan and Cibo are dead. A reanimated portion of Mori's consciousness exists in a virtual reality. She walks through a murky town that resembles a version of an older Earth. Strolling through the village, she encounters numerous people sleeping, who do not wake with stimulation. A small golem says the people cannot die, but instead sleep forever. The golem says he's an AI of a toy, and takes Mori to a worm-like being with the face of a human. Turns out, this place is a storage for people with damaged records or lost their physical body. The worm man speaks of the disaster, but Mori knows nothing of this. Mori speaks of Killy and the sphere he obtained. She goes on to explain that the sphere houses an embryo with the genes of 2 females, and it would only start growing in a safe place. However, the governing agency said he must reach the edge of the city, which means his journey will be longer and more difficult than before. Mori's last memory was seen through the eyes of a representative of the governing agency, and it was an image of Killy holding the sphere. While they can't communicate with base reality, they will know when Killy completes his mission. An unspecified amount of time has passed, with Killy missing a leg. Killy fires his GBE down a shaft, creating a large explosion and killing a safeguard. Killy walks through the city as a torrential downpour soaks him. Inside of a tunnel, Killy is shot by a safeguard. Despite a chunk of his head missing, Killy eliminates the safeguard with his GBE. While recovering, Killy is swept away by the deluge of water, eventually ending up in an ocean. The core senses that it has reached a safe area beyond the reach of the infection. It thusly activates and begins growing. After the miracle of growth and the birth of the new being, Killy defends Cibo and Sanakan's child, who's wearing a gas mask, with his GBE. Now before you think that's the end of Blam, there's actually one more manga we have to discuss. Nihei wrote and illustrated a story called Noise, which serves as a prologue to the Blam story. And it's only 8 chapters long, so without further ado, let's get started. 2 officers, Susono and Clausa, find a ritualistic sacrifice involving children. They discover decaying bodies on crosses, as Clausa is abducted by a robed figure. After the event, the lead investigator restricts Susono's weapon use, since the evidence doesn't support her conjecture. Later, Susono obtains a cryptic blade from a weapons dealer. A masked figure shows her skin from Clawsaw's face. She chases him down, reaching a crucified Clawsaw. The cult leader uses the power of net chaos to transform Clawsaw into an exterminator. Susono's machine gun is ineffective, but the blade works like a charm, destroying everything in the area. "The order. I'll show you," says Susono. After the events, Susono is henceforth discharged from the police force. Her apartment is then raided, with a dead pig head left as a warning. Furthermore, she then finds out that the weapon dealer that gave her the blade was beheaded. On the subway, Susono follows a hooded figure with rotting flesh. She examines the crate he left behind. She finds out that it has children with cybernetic parts inside. The children then transform into an exterminator as Susono runs away. Police grab her and place her under arrest. The exterminator destroys the officers. Susono activates her blade, escapes her restraints, and slices the exterminator in half. Susono mills around the lowest levels of the city, coming across 2 children with net terminal implants. Susono notes that the order only takes children without the implants. Susono finds out she is no longer registered in the city's computer system. She then receives a call from Clawsaw, who's dead, but somehow his consciousness has reappeared in the net. He warns her about the safeguards and the cult. He then warns her of impending danger as a connection cuts off. 2 silicon creatures appear. They shoot her, cut off her arm and head, and place her body on a pike. Susono's consciousness is inside the net sphere. A division of safeguards brought her here after she died. Access to the net sphere is being consolidated to one way, and safeguards protect people visiting the net sphere. Anyone without net implants, however, will be eliminated. Susono refuses to work with them. The safeguard then replies, "Your adhesion is not required. It is decided you will be brainwashed." The cult utilizes technology from the safeguards to reformat their body on a silicon basis. The same will be done for Susono, so she can retrieve the stolen technology from the cult. Susono's consciousness returns to her body. Clawsaw wakes her up before the brainwashing is implemented. The silicon creatures attack the lab as Susono begins her transformation. She then executes the 2 silicon creatures with ease and flees the area afterward. Susono is surrounded by silicon creatures. Despite her numbers disadvantage, Susono shreds through her adversaries. She climbs some stairs, encountering the 3 leaders of the cult. The battle looks ready to commence, but then, We flash forward 3,000 years. The megastructure has expanded to the moon and beyond, perhaps even as big as the solar system itself. The Order continues its parasitic existence inside the megastructure. Clawsaw, unfortunately, died 200 years ago, and Susono hasn't seen a human in the last 100 years. The net sphere is still expanding. And that, my friends, officially ends the Noise and Blam storyline video. Now, if you're looking for more Blam content, there is a 6-episode ONA that was released in 2003, right after the manga completed, and it's very good. Each episode is about 5 minutes long, and it sort of takes snippets from the manga and doesn't really have dialogue to speak of. It's more so just images and noises, and I think in a lot of ways, it's an esoteric, artistic wet dream, if you will. I absolutely love it. I feel like it captures the essence of Blam, and it's terrifying, and it's enigmatic, and it's everything that you would want. And then there was the 2017 movie that was released by Netflix, and it's got its moments. I mean, it's not completely bad, but it does have a 3D aesthetic, so it is a little bit of a bummer. Because Nihei's artwork is so brilliant and detailed, and I feel like the 3D aesthetic sort of takes away from that. It sort of makes everything seem a little more bland, a little less realistic, and a lot less beautiful. Nihei's artwork is just beautiful and terrifying at the same time. And of course, capturing that through animation is very difficult, but, you know, if you had the animators for, say, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust or Redline, I think it could be done. It's just, unfortunately, the industry is moving towards this 3D paradigm now, and it's getting away from the hand-drawn aesthetics that, you know, I grew up with and I just absolutely love, but I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed the Blam storyline. This was a fun video to make. I think I'll make another video on Blam, explaining some of the finer points of the plot and some of the intricate details that I kind of glossed over in this video, so that you can get a better experience and more explanations as to what's happening. But until next time, I'll catch you guys on the flip side.